Salarah Starre is a UK-based advanced law of attraction teacher trainer, coach, public speaker, and leading wellness expert. She will share life-changing wisdom about the law of attraction and how you can use this powerful universal law to build a foundation for bigger and bolder manifesting results. It is time to create the life you deserve, and with Salarah's help, you will.
How to break old cycles with a very simple game so that you can reclaim your power. Welcome to Manifesting Made Easy with myself, Salarah Starre, and today we are going to be exploring the game of opposites. This is a very simple but powerful tool that can help you break free from old reactive patterns and cycles so that you can step into a whole new level of consciousness, connection, and of course, your manifestations. So what is the game of opposites? The game of opposites is when we react the same way time and time again, when we have the same arguments time and time again, when we have the same routine time and time again, when we attract the same friendships time and time again, when we feel the same frustrations time and time again, when we say things like, why on earth does this keep happening to me? The truth is, our reactions are often extremely predictable. They are conditioned and they are programmed by our very good friend, the ego. When we keep reacting in the same way, whether it be snapping, withdrawing, over-explaining, controlling, people-pleasing, and staying in the same routines, like when we're wanting to stop either drinking alcohol or eating junk food. So it's patterns and cycles that are not just emotional and in relationships, they are ordinary, everyday patterns and cycles which keep anchoring us in the same perpetual vibrational loop. Our energy becomes patterned, it becomes predictable, it becomes repetitive, and I think it was Dr. Bruce Lipton that basically said we become addicted to our own patterns. We become addicted to the hormones that we excrete, which are in direct correlation to our patterns and cycles. So even if we want something different, our nervous system is broadcasting the same old frequency and we are attracting the same old thing time and time again. And I guess this is where the saying, if you always do what you've always done, you're going to always get what you've always got comes from, right? So today is about understanding that on a deeper level and beginning to change it so that we're no longer operating from that same old server, if you like. We're giving ourselves a much needed upgrade. Just like we would upgrade our iPhone or Android, this is what we are doing here today. So we can move away from the frequency of fear. So that could be fearing the new, even though we want it. The frequency of defense, like feeling like we're being attacked by somebody, so we keep going into defensive mode. Or even the frequency of it's not safe to open, it's not safe to change patterns, or I don't trust, or I need to protect myself, whatever it might be. And here's the thing that most people miss. Manifestation doesn't respond to what we say we want. It responds to the energy we're being on a consistent basis. So when we react from the same place over and over again, we send out a very clear signal to the universe. We send out a signal to the universe saying something like, this is who I am, this is what I expect, this is the level of reality that I'm available for. And of course, the universe responds to us by way of experiences. And it doesn't matter how beautiful your vision board is. If your daily energy is still running the same outdated programs, you're going to keep attracting the same outdated programs. That's the inner response, if you like. It's like how you handle those moments of repetition, of conflict, of tension, of uncertainty, of saying, for example, if you're saying you want to be healthy and energized, yet you still keep going through the McDonald's drive-through. Or if you say you want close connected relationships, yet every time somebody wants to open up, you get defensive. I can give loads of examples. Those are just the ones that are coming to mind. This basically all sets your vibrational set point. But it's okay, because this is where the game of opposites becomes a total energetic hack. Because when you choose a new response, even in the tiniest moment, you disrupt the old frequency, you disrupt the old pattern. And what you're doing is you are changing the course of time. You create space. You're basically showing the universe, I'm not who I was. I'm choosing something differently now, and I am available for more. So, sounds like an affirmation, that, right? I'm available for more. And there's no point in saying an affirmation if we're going to respond the same way. So if we're going to respond differently and say the affirmation, that is when we start to notice big, sustainable shifts. And it is in that moment of doing the opposite, leaning into when you would normally go down the same old route, the same old response, the same old program, and softening in the space when you would normally harden, and staying present when you would normally want to run. This is when you start to rewire your energy field. And that's what creates the shift in your reality. Not just wishful thinking, not just sitting there wishing life was different, actually taking steps that say, I'm no longer looping, I am evolving, I'm available for more. This is embodying the energy shifts. So the game of opposites it's a mental tool that will absolutely affect your energy, as aforementioned. And I was taught this years ago, and it changed everything for me. So the idea is whenever you notice your ego trying to react in a certain way, whether that is going through the drive-through, or whether it is becoming defensive when somebody you love is trying to explain how they're feeling emotionally, whether you are being dismissive or hitting the snooze button because you want to lie in an extra 10 minutes instead of getting up and doing a mini workout, whatever it might be, whether it's avoiding, whether it's controlling, it's learning to do the opposite. It's that simple. It's deep, it's transformational, and it is simple. Because your ego is totally well-meaning, right? It thinks it's helping you stay safe by keeping you in the known. But that just means it keeps you small. That just means it keeps you in a space of frustration. That just means it keeps you in a perpetual loop where you're not actually breaking free. Yes, you might be staying safe, but in that space of staying safe, you're staying frustrated. You're staying annoyed, or you're staying in a place where you feel like good is only available to other people. It just keeps you looping. It keeps you locked out of all the new experiences and connections and possibilities that are only available outside of your default reaction. So why is this so important in manifestation? You can't manifest a new reality with the same energy and behaviours that created your current one. If your default response is shaped by fear, by protection, by past wounds, and you keep responding from that place, you keep creating the same results. Because your ego is basically saying, protect yourself. Don't show them that you care. Okay, mate, pull away now, pull away. Prove a point to them. Be stubborn, prove a point. Show them that they're wrong. Control the outcome. Come on, control the outcome. Or if it is in relation to the drive-through, one more won't hurt, will it? But it's always just one more, isn't it? We're never actually breaking free from it. But your soul is asking, what if I could, one drive-through at a time, resist and choose something differently? What if I did open my heart and listen instead of getting defensive? What if I could respond with softness and from a place of compassion? What if I did choose to be curious over judgment? What if I could learn just to accept the person the way they are and love anyway? So what this game basically does is it interrupts the autopilot. It gives you space. And in that space, you meet yourself differently. You meet others differently. You shift your energy. And that is the birthplace of true manifestation. So let me give you some real life examples. This is where it gets a bit personal. I won't give you the whole story because it's quite a long-winded one, but I'll just in a nutshell. I remember one particular moment that stood out when I began to play this game, and this is in direct relation to how I wanted to have closer connected relationships with people, but I noticed the way that I was responding kept me looping. So somebody close to me was in a bad mood, and my ego just automatically just wanted to kick in. And oh, for God's sake, here we go again. What's the matter with you? Like, kind of roll my eyes, like, what's the matter with you anyway? Like, why are you being X, Y, and Z? But instead, I caught myself and I decided to play the game. So I paused. I noticed this internal reaction rising. I also knew that I would continue looping in unhappy relationships if I didn't break it. So instead of doing what I would normally do, which was roll my eyes and say, what's the matter with you? I did the opposite. I softened and I asked, hey, is everything okay? Is there anything that I can help you with? Which of course my ego absolutely hated. And I tell you what, that is when a major shift happened in that moment. The tension seemed to dissolve, but actually the person probably thought, like, where has Salarah gone? Like, has she been abducted? Because it was something that I never approached in that soft way. So I noticed that they were a bit shocked to start with. They were still defensive because my energy wasn't trusting because it was so different. And then this person said to me, oh, that's okay, then you can take something off my list. You can go and weed the garden. It wasn't that, it was something else. But I then responded, okay, gladly. Where's the tools that I need for that? And again, this person was caught completely off guard because I'd never responded like this. But I could see that they started to soften as well. And my behavior was directly affecting the experience that I was having. Another time I was avoiding having a difficult conversation. And the old me would have absolutely delayed it, overthought it, convinced myself it wasn't the right time, being passive aggressive, no doubt, because there was something that needed to be said and I wasn't saying it. So I did the opposite of avoidance. I was very honest and vulnerable with this person when I chose to lean in to have a conversation with them. And the outcome was nothing like my ego had predicted. It was actually really liberating. I got a really lovely response from it. So this taught me a huge amount about how I had been showing up, and how I had been showing up had then determined what I was experiencing. And like I say, this can be used with all sorts of examples. If health is on your list of something that you want to create and manifest, yet you keep going through the drive-through or keep reaching for the food that you know is not good for you, I want you to just invite yourself to think about trying this game and just maybe play it just for a day to start with, or a week, depending on how big a topic it is. I always think it's best to start with things that have a smaller charge so you can build that muscle of trusting yourself, of course, that you can do the game of opposites, but building that resilience and that strength inside. So every time you catch yourself either in an emotional reaction or doing something physically that you would like to change because you know it's sabotaging your dreams, you could ask yourself, like, what is my ego trying to do right now? Well, it's trying to keep me safe, or it's trying to keep me in defensive mode, which is trying to keep me safe, and a whole host of other things. Okay, so what would the opposite of this be? And I had another lady that I was working with years ago, and we're playing the game of opposites. There was a lot of disconnect with her husband. And after spending quite a lot of time inquiring into the relationship, she basically told me that when he came home from work, he would hang his coat up and they wouldn't even say anything to each other at all. It just got to the point where they barely communicated. So in that moment, her ego just wanted to just completely ignore him. So instead, she was willing to play the game of opposites, and she went up to him at the front door and said, hi, how was your day? And they started to connect again. So our ego is going to create disconnect. And when we overcome our ego, we create connection. Now, connection is really important because when we are disconnected, when we are allowing the ego to run the show, our energy field, it becomes very restricted. It becomes very tight. It just it closes down to a certain extent. But when we are playing the game of opposites, things start to open up. Things start to become more creative, more playful. Things start to become freer. So when we do the opposite of what our ego wants to do, we then get to see what would happen when we choose differently. And it's a really interesting game of observation. And then what that also does is it helps us to see that actually when we show up differently in our lives, we start to get different results. Again, going back to if you always do what you've always done, you're going to always get what you've always got. So the important thing to remember is you can't get it perfect all the time. You're going to really need to be persistent with this game of opposites, because there's going to be times that it doesn't quite go to plan, or you get different results, or you're going to have to try and tweak the way that you show up. But the more you play it, the more you interrupt your old patterns, the more space you create for new energy, for new relationships, for new manifestations to arrive into your life. So this isn't about becoming somebody else. It's about becoming more of who you really are beneath the egoic patterns of fear and defense. I would love to know how this resonates with you. Give it a go over a day or a week. I'd love to hear your experiences. So do reach out on Instagram or salarah@salarahstarre.com. If you feel there's somebody in your life that could really benefit from this wisdom, then it would be lovely if you could share this episode with them. And if you do enjoy my podcast, I would love nothing more than for you to leave me a review, because the more reviews that are left, the more this can be found by more people, and it helps my podcast to reach the people that need to hear this wisdom the most. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. It's been lovely to be with you, and I look forward to being back with you super soon. In the meantime, enjoy the game of opposites.
Thanks for listening. Salarah Starre will be back next week with great insights into the law of attraction. In the meantime, please visit salarahstarre.com.